Welcome to the Kai and K show. Here's where we speak up on it, man. We're gonna speak up on these what happened yesterday. We had an interesting day of college football yesterday. My boy Dion, Coach Prime, man, it was rough for y'all. But if anybody want to talk about it, let's go on and talk about it. I got my opinion. I want to hear what some of you have to say. Maybe I can enlighten y'all on why things happen the way that they're happening here in Buffland, and we'll talk about it after this intermission.
In order to have anything in this world, you must speak up on it. In order to have anything in this world, you must speak up on it. Oh, that you're punching in Versace, she don't want it. She like it hot just like a coffee in the morning. And if you want it, then you gotta speak up on it. Said if you want it, then you better speak up on it. Speak up on it. Speak up on it. Speak up on it. Speak up on it.
All right, I'm back, man. Look here. I'm gonna wait for some give a couple people up in here, so might create a little bit of dead air space for a minute, but see if we can get some people to come in here and join in, vent some of their concerns and what they think the issue is and what the problem is going up there in Colorado after uh, Coach Prime seemed to be building a program, uh, going in the right direction. After last year, they went 9-4. Should have went to the playoffs, in my belief, and I believe they should have went to the playoffs. And I believe what's plaguing them this year, plagued them last year, and the reason why they didn't get to the playoffs, and the problem is still happening. It wasn't identified uh, then, and it clearly it ain't been identified this year because it's the same problem. Same problem. It was mask. You ever heard that term, smoke and mirrors? There was a lot of smoke and mirrors last year with that team. They had a lot of talent on that roster, and you can get away with a lot of stuff when you have a lot of talent. You know, it masks problems that you don't see uh, that exist. It just does when you have talent. For those of you who maybe coach, like, say, youth football league, and in youth football, all you really need is four good players to possibly win or be very, very successful in the league. All you need is four outstanding players. That's all you need, and you can win. And that's because those four talented players will, if you it will more than likely will help you mask some issues that you have. Because they're going to make plays. You know what I'm saying? They're players who make plays. That's a term that we use. Players make plays, and that's what you want. You want players that make plays, and they have them on this roster. This roster is, you know, people want to say, "Well, oh, they swung and missed on the talent." They did not swing and miss on the talent. The people who went out there and recruited these players and brought these players that's currently on this roster did a great job. They did a great job, and I know it's hard to see that, but they did. Because if you look at even the numbers of injuries that they have been experiencing in the past 2 to 3 weeks, they haven't really had no fall off, no drop off. They've been able to, like I say, smoke and mirrors, mask the consistent problem they have. Now, Coach Prime always talks about this word consistent, and he says being consistent. But what he's failed to address is the consistent problems he's having with his staff. That is the problem. You got to put the word consistency in the right perspective. You want your players to be consistent, but have yet to figure out why you consistently have these type of issues. You had this problem uh, in Oregon, your first year at Washington State, right? You had, matter of fact, that first year, even that team wasn't as talented as this team today, but they played harder than this team today. Why is that? What's going on? You know what I mean? And players know and they see and they talk within each other, and this is the problem that you have. You have to identify when your coaching staff. You said you upgraded your coaching staff, but you didn't upgrade your coaching staff. This coaching staff is not as good as the one you had last year. I don't believe, especially defensively. Uh, um, Coach D. Lou was a hell of an asset to lose. Um, uh, and you have not yet corrected the problem that you have on offense, which starts from the top. You are top, but the person that you put in charge of calling plays, your signal caller, is not. I don't want to say he's not good. He's dated, is what he is. I'm just telling you, this comes from a guy who, this is what I do. This is what I do. I call plays. I'm an offensive coordinator. And that's what I do. So I understand. I can look. If I had this talent that he has on this roster, there's no way in the world you should not be putting up at least 28 points a game. 7 points a quarter. You should average 7 points a quarter with the talent that he has on his team. And with the beef and the size he have on his old line. But when your scheme is bad, you're going to get bad results. People keep continuously looking at the end result and not understanding the process. That's always a problem. And I don't know what goes on 24/7, what goes on behind the scenes, there at practice, because I'm sure we don't get to see it all. We get to see some of it, what happens, and some of what the kids do on the field, but we don't know why he uh, delegates certain people to do certain things because of maybe what they're not doing off the field. Maybe they're not handling their schoolwork. Maybe they're not making meetings on time. Maybe they're late. Maybe and he wants to control his team. He wants to do it the old school way, and that's not a problem if you got people who are buying into it. They have to buy into your old school ways, and you like, this is my show. It's my way, the highway. But you have to adapt to everything. These kids are different. They're not like how we were when we were growing up, man. And I understand what he's saying, and we all want that because we think that's the successful way. But everybody has to adapt. Saban had to adapt. Coach William over at the other side has to adapt. These kids are different. They're different, man. And some of your philosophy. Sometimes you can't be so stubborn where you're not willing to bend. You got to bend on certain things, man. And I know it's hard because you feel like you the captain of the ship, and it's either gonna be your way or the highway. But these kids ain't going for that, dog. You got to find a way to be. Part of being a coach is being a part psychologist as well. You have to find ways to get people to do what you want them to do the way you want them to do it. And there's a manipulation thing sometimes that has to, and you have to do that. And I'm not saying he doesn't do that to a certain degree, but you know, you got if you want people to believe, like they say on their shirt, and you want them to buy into what you're doing. First, you got to have competent people at the right position, man. And I'm gonna be honest with you, Shermer is not it. He hasn't been it. He never was it, and you can tell by um, his accolades from his time in coaching at every level. He's never been a guy who won it all, right? He's been a guy who's been maybe hard. He's a hard worker and he's a good person and all these other things, but that don't make him a good coach. That don't make him good at being. He might be a good position coach or a good you know um, person to talk to or whatever. But as far as calling plays and designing plays, I've been saying this, and I was saying it when he first gave me the job. And you can go back and look at all my videos that I did on this guy. He is not creative enough to coach the college game. He is a dinosaur. He is a dinosaur when it comes to college football. And just because you coach in the NFL doesn't mean that you qualify to coach in college. It is a totally different game. It's a totally different game. It says it has the same name, football, right? The sport is football, but it's not the same game. And just because you played and you're a Hall of Famer and you played the game well doesn't mean that you can get out of players what you put on the field. Doesn't make you a good coach. And you got a lot of guys learning on the job on the staff. They really are. They're learning on the job. Your defensive coordinator, he's learning on the job. He had never been a coordinator before you hired him. He did an admirable job last year. I'm not gonna lie, he did. But he had some dogs on that defense too. And you can even see even this year too, with the talent that he has and the lack thereof, and then uh, uh, and where y'all lacking at, which I believe is your linebackers. Your linebackers are they're not linebackers. They're not middle. You don't have a legit middle linebacker on this roster, and you have to because your middle linebacker has to be your quarterback. He's just as essential on the defensive side as the quarterback is on the offensive side, and you don't have that guy. Jeremiah Brown is not a middle linebacker. He's an outside linebacker, and you got him playing middle. And French, no, not. He's an outside guy. Hughes, outside guy. You don't have a legit middle linebacker on this roster. Nakai Hill Green leaving last year, that hurt. That hurt, and not having nobody like him to replace him. He might be on your bench. I don't know because we don't get to see them play. He might be a walk on your team. I don't know because we don't get to see them play. But uh, I would look because this roster, I mean, these people you putting out on this field, they're not gonna do it, dog. You gonna have this part, and like the cat, like he said in his interview, the cat is out the bag now. And any coach that play you from here on out is gonna do you what Utah just did to you. It's like Floyd Mayweather would say, when there's a blueprint on you, you know, and uh, if there's a blueprint on how to beat you, it makes it easy for me to beat you. Floyd say, I ain't never been beat before, so you don't know there's no blueprint on how to beat me because I've never been beaten before, which is true. And my only question to this staff here is, it's like, they always on the players about watching film, but when you watching film, what are you identifying what you're watching? Because I don't see you guys ever making an adjustment to the teams that you're playing from the films that I look at from their previous games. BYU just gave Colorado the week before a blueprint on how to beat them. Guess what BYU did? They did what Texas Tech did to Utah. Same gameplay. Texas Tech showed BYU how to beat them, and that's what BYU did. I don't understand why you come out there and don't do what BYU just showed you to, or you just say, well, we did copy it. How? You had 2 weeks to prepare for this team. You had a Texas Tech film that showed you how to beat this team, and BYU the week before showed you how to beat this team. And you can't tell me that BYU is more talented than you guys because you should have beat BYU. And I know they say styles make fights, and that is true. But from a talent perspective, you have just as much talent on this roster and depth that BYU do that you should have got the job done. You should have got the job done. There's no reason in the world that you should have got beat 53-7. Nowhere close to that. Your offensive coordinator didn't counterpunch anything that they were doing. They were showing the defensive coordinator, and I haven't looked at the all 22 yet, but they were showing the defensive coordinator on the other side of it. That man didn't even need headsets on. He just said, "We just gonna blitz him," and we saw that. And there was glimpses of that in your previous games. Every time people sent blitzes, you guys had a problem picking the stuff up. Smoke and mirrors. You're thinking that our offensive line has changed because what? They're bigger. You got about 800 pounds worth of beef up front, but your techniques are bad. You're constantly letting people cross your face. Your tackles, especially, are constantly letting people cross their face when you're running zone, right? Uh, feet placement is wrong. Your head placement is wrong, right? And uh, the brother TCal, I watched his video, and he said prior to when he did the analysis of what's going to happen in this game is that your tackles were not going to be able to block their ends at all, and he wasn't lying because I was saying the same thing, and it has nothing to do with the talent perspective. It's the way that you're teaching these guys to perform out there on the field, dude. Your coaching is not as good as you think they are. They're not. The scheme is horrific. It looked like y'all got like 5 plays. Y'all run what they call uh, all hitches. Well, I would say uh, it's either all hitches or all curls. Y'all run mesh. Y'all run some type of deep concept or the rollout play, sprint rollout, and y'all don't never block that right. The guys on who's supposed to be sealing in, he never. It's always a task just getting the guy outside of the guy. Y'all don't even run that right. Uh, and your runs, I only see zone. I see some type of form of dive. I don't see no. I don't see no counter off anything. I don't see you setting up nothing. And your wide receivers, they don't block on for the wide receiver screens. They don't block. Uh, so you know, we always say in sports, you either teaching this stuff or you allowing it. Either way, it's bad. You got a number of things bad. And as an offensive coordinator, and you see all this type of stuff, this stuff should be fixed in practice. It's like hey, look here. Let me tell you something. I would, first of all, you can't move on and teach them anything else if you don't get the basics right. If you don't get the genesis of my offense to work, of the things that I like to, we're gonna have to run this until we get this right, or put the right people in that we can do it. I don't believe bringing in extra linemen all the time for your tight ends. You have tight ends on this roster, and I don't believe that I don't believe they're just not good blockers. No, I don't believe that. I don't believe Savelle Smalls can't block. I don't believe that dude can't block. I don't believe it. I believe that whoever's coaching them ain't teaching them properly. That's what I believe. Because it don't take nothing but effort to get in someone's way, and sometimes either slide your hips left or right to prevent a person from, all you need sometimes is, you know, a second or 2 seconds, 2/10 of a second before a person. That's all you need. You don't need much. You don't have to drive them all out or put them on their behind in order for them to block. You don't always need that, depending on what the play is. But you guys, this is a rip. I just and I don't know. Maybe it's the fact that you got all these guys come in and you put them in a position. You try to do it like the NFL, where you hire all the position coaches, and then you bring a coordinator in, And these guys have no idea what this guy does or wants to do. And he's got to coach the coaches first, and then tell it so the coaches can coach the players. And then maybe they're not always doing it the way that he want them to do it. And time is limited, right? So maybe it would help if you brought a coach in who has a staff that he's familiar with, right? Maybe this offensive coordinator already has an offensive line coach or a wide receiver coach or a running back coach. I mean, I ain't saying they all have to be his guys, but at least up front, the offensive coordinator and the line, you got three line coaches. There's no way in the hell, no way in the world that you shouldn't be able to run the ball on this team right here. Not with the talent you got on that front, and you got guys on the bench that can back these guys up or just as good. How Jaffa go over to BYU and he's a starting left tackle on an undefeated team? How's Benson? He goes back to Indiana and he's a starting tackle and they're an undefeated team, and he's having a successful year. You've had all these guys in your program. What's the problem? Let's look at what the common denominator is. Math works in everything. Everything you do in life, math works. What's the common denominator? You can apply math in every type of situation in life. And the common denominator is your coaches. That's the common denominator. It is not the players. People want to blame Salter. Oh, Salters doesn't do this and doesn't do that. You're all looking at the result and not understanding the process. You're not understanding the process. Y'all just see that, oh, he threw an interception here. Well, why did the interception occur? Why did it occur? Did he just arbitrarily just throw the ball to the opposition? Or did the receiver run a terrible route? Or was he someplace he wasn't supposed to be? Or they're not on the same page, or they're not clicking, or for whatever reason. It's not always the quarterback, the issue. He's going to get the blame, of course, because you're just looking at the end result. But you got to understand the process. Coaches are not putting this kid in the best possible situation to be successful. He's not only using, I think, 5 plays. So, well, if they execute it, it will work. Bro, it's hard to execute when I know what you're doing. I'm here watching the game and I know what you're doing. You think they don't do it? And they've been watching hours of film on you. And they playing against you. You don't think they gonna get a jump on or a step on where you want to go to, or maybe that's the reason why guys is crossing their face because they know where to play going before you even snap the ball. Because you so vanilla, you so basic. We can always say if we execute it, it'll work. You can say that on everything, but that's not the way football works all the time. You can't tell a person I'm going right and I'm going to this spot and expect him not to have the advantage. Make it make sense. I knew, man. If you go look at my video, I told you. I said Pat Shermer, with all this talent and with the talent that he has on his roster, you need packages, man. You should have packages for different guys, man. Especially in this era where you want to try to keep everybody happy and satisfied, so that you ain't not having to try to recruit the same players on your roster every year. If they're being fed right, if they're being successful, or you showing them that you're trying to get them involved, dude. With formations, you should have packages. Everybody can't run the same thing. You can't run tunnel screen with every receiver. Some receivers are not good at running tunnel screen. Some receivers not good at running players. There's different people to do different things. Different running backs don't run in between tackles the same. They don't. Some guys are better on outside zone or zone cutback. They just are. They develop differently. You can't tell, okay, this guy right here, well, we're gonna run the same play with him that we ran with the other guy. It doesn't work like that, man. Doesn't work like that. That would be perfect. That would be ideal if everybody could do what everybody else do. But what sense would that make? How you doing, Ellen Bay? I'm just sitting up here just talking about what happened in that game yesterday with Colorado and Utah. And I want people to come on here and vent what their concerns is, and I'm gonna tell you what I see or what I saw and what I'm seeing and have been seeing. I've been seeing this for the past since Prime got there with his offensive coordinators. All the CU fans are hard. The fans shouldn't be hiding. Shoot, it should be the. I know who should be hiding, but it shouldn't be the fans. The fans ain't out there on the field. It ain't they. Hey, it ain't they fault. This with and it starts from the top, right? We all want Prime to succeed, man. That's what we want him to do. We want him to succeed, you know. And why he's not doing is because, and he's always talking about this word consistency, right? What do you say? No playmakers on defense, terrible offensive line. They're big and slow. All right. All right. Okay. All right. That's what I want y'all to do. I want y'all to come on and I'm gonna want y'all to give me your opinion and I'm gonna show y'all. And then I'm gonna give you what I think it is. So all we know who should be high. That's right. So look, I what I try to tell people all the time. Now I'm a former coach. I played and coached this game for over 30 years. So I got some experience with this. Just to let you know a little bit about my background. See, Prime wants to do everything his way, and it's not working. Well, okay, all right. If you was here earlier, I just when I was doing my little soliloquy, I was just speaking on some of the things that you have to adjust on. You do need to adjust with these players. You can't be old. I mean, you could be old school to a certain degree, but you can't just say it's always going to be my way or the highway. That's not the way. You can't get these kids to work to respond that way. They're different, and part of being a coach is you have to be. I always tell people you got to be somewhat of a psychologist. You got to be able to manipulate and get people to do things that you want them to do, even though they don't know that's what they're doing. You got to find a way to manipulate these people to get the job done that you want them to do. That's part of being a coach. And this way, you got to bend. For every successful coach, they have to have some. You have to have some grace. You have to show some grace to certain things. And these kids are just different, man. Me myself, I'm 54 years old, man. So I grew up in that era that he's talking about, how he was coached. And we always looked towards the coach, and we did exactly what the coach wanted us to do, and we never questioned. We just did the work. You know what I'm saying? But believe you me, that players talk, and especially these kids today, and they see what's happening. You know, and to a certain degree, they're not believing in what's been going on. So he has that moniker on the front of their shirt saying "I believe," and they don't believe. Trust me. Not to put on the performance that they put on last night. They don't believe at all, and they don't believe in the coaching, and that's a problem, man. That starts with there first. But let's go back to this. What Coach Prime is always talking about, being consistent. He said we're not consistent enough. And I want him to look in the mirror and understand that he needs to be consistent, right? And what do I mean by that? His OC is consistently bad. He never addresses that issue part, that part of it. All flash, and no fire. 150 people on the sidelines, a DJ in the locker room. It's a clown show. Well, I think he tries to adhere to modern day kids. To try to, he tries. But here's the thing: in order to get to that, you got to be out here balling. You know what I'm saying? You can't have flash. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having flash and all this other stuff. If you're playing, if you're balling, if you're not balling, you don't need to be doing that. This is true. If you're not balling, you don't need to be doing that. I don't believe Salter was running for his life. Oh man, man, you're right. Hey, look, hey, the cat is out the bag now. And for I think they got 4 games left, Ellen. You're gonna see people blitzing the hell out of them from here on out. Because if you looked at the sideline, the defensive coordinator didn't even have headphones on. He would just say attack. Okay? If you got 5, I'm sending 6. If you got 6, I'm sending 7. That's all he was doing. And Shermer never adjusted to anything. You saw no middle. Hey, the book report on this team on beating Utah is that they're so overly aggressive that you have to use it against them. Shermer never counterpunched that. Never counterpunched. No short routes, no tunnel screen, no middle screen. They tried to run tunnel screen one time and had some success with. I only seen it once. Fly sweep is is something that hurts this team. They ran it one time and they had some success with it. So it's like, but he's not setting anything up. He's so vanilla. It's like they know what he's doing before he do it. By the way he line up, spreading the field and just everybody running out. It's terrible. And that one interception that Salter threw, if you go back and look at it, he had 2 receivers on the side, outside guy running a 9, inside guy running an out, 9 and a 3. They're in cover 2. Why would you throw a 9 with a safety covering that third? And you running an out to the flat where the corner's going to be. That's not how you attack cover 2. Nobody attack the middle of the field. The seams is what you want to get into. You want to force that safety to come off to make a decision. If you're going to throw that 9, he has to somebody has to threaten the middle of the field. It's just bad. So I'm like, what is he looking at? So it's just all bad. Like he not help. The play calling is not helping the quarterback out. It's not. You're running the same run play. Looks like you're trying to just run zone, and uh, it's bad. Like the tackles, they're constantly getting the defense is constantly crossing their face. They're not getting in position. Their head is always on the wrong side. They're not getting second level. Uh, the double team scoops. They're not getting second level. They're caught up because for one, the defenders beating them to the point of attack because they know what the play is. So that's what I mean by helping your team out. And if they're doing that, then you have to be able to counterpunch that. You have to be able to, if they're going to do that, zone cutback works brilliantly for people. But he has no counter punches to the things that he's calling. He don't set anything else. He come up there like he ran that trick play the week before. I mean, I saw nothing to warrant him running a trick play. He never ran nothing to set it up. Why would it work? You know what I'm saying? So you can't just come out here and just be out here just let me try this or let me try that. That's not the way play calling works. You don't call plays in that way. And he has enough talent. I'm telling y'all, there's enough talent on this roster to average 28 points a game. But you have to it's the coach's responsibility to put the players in the right situation. This dude's a hater. What dude's a hater? Must be so miserable carrying all the hate around now. What hate around now? Who's carrying hate around? Explain what are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. Maybe you tell me what you're talking about. But look, everybody has their opinion. You know, everybody's entitled to it. The players let Dion down last night. No, I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna say the players let Dion. You get the coaches have to put the players in the right position. He had 2 weeks to prepare for this game, and they had just beat a team that was number 22 in the nation. So, and BYU just gave them the blueprint on how to beat them. You don't put no burden on the coach. None. You just think we just roll. You just put players out there and say, hey, you know, do this, and it's supposed to work. It's not the way it works in football. Oh, you strong. Okay, I got you. So I'm just telling you, he didn't do a good job. It's. I'm telling you, if you go and watch the film, you got to watch the film. And I haven't watched this film yet. I went back and tried to just watch the live coverage of the game, and I saw a lot of mistakes there. But you have to watch the all 22 to understand what they're actually looking at. Was that way you actually know what's being called on the field and what they're looking at and how they're reacting to it and who's in position and who's not in position. And for weeks now, or actually years, I'm gonna say years because this was happening last year too. It's just that the fact that they had so much talent on that roster that if you ever heard the term smoke and mirrors, that's what it was. Shador covered up a lot of stuff that they were doing, you know, and that's probably the reason why he took so many sacks too, trying to make plays because uh, you know, like I said, the error of my ways. But you know, he covered up a lot of stuff. And if you looked at the film, that's why I thought he should have been up for the Heisman. The stuff what he got out of that offense was was a miracle. You know, because he wasn't put in the best possible situation, and also they were calling a lot of plays. They were making up plays on the sideline sometimes. But sometimes we do that. If you see something uh, that's going on out there on the field and you don't necessarily worked on something in practice or for that week, you know that's what you do. You make an adjustment, and they're not making any adjustments. I don't see. I've never seen Salter not one time. Just like we saw Staub come in and had a little success against the backups, and now he was playing against the backups, y'all. So don't just think, oh, Staub's better than Salter. That's not the case. Staub was audible. Why does the backup, the third string guy, have the ability to audible routes with the receivers, but the starter don't? Because I've never seen Salter not one time audible plays or adjust routes or see something like you see Sincere. Sincere 6'5", 4'3" speed, and I don't see no deep balls being thrown to Sincere deep, especially when they come up playing him man. Like this is crazy. I don't see. But Staub, when he comes in, he give him a signal and he letting them know we going up top. I don't understand what I don't know. I don't know what's going on, and you know, and none of us do because we're not there at practice. Uh, but I do know that we're not putting the kids in the right position to succeed, and it starts from the OC. I didn't think this guy is dated, man. He's not. He wasn't. He needs a new office coordinator. He's too predictable. He's not creative enough, and it starts there. And I imagine we're gonna be hearing something real soon about what's going to happen with this offensive coordinator. Hey, this is true though. Hey, they was gonna run the tush push stuff. Said the hell with that. He tried to audible out of it and said no. They was like, come on, let's do it. He was like, hell no, I ain't going up in there. That is, you're right. That shit was funny. They had to waste the time out because Stop was like, hell no, I ain't about to do that. That ain't gonna work. But isn't that crazy though? How Stop uh has the they give him the leverage to audible out of stuff, but you never see they starting quarterback do it. Why is that? That's the problem. That's the problem. And I know he's been there longer, but that's the problem. That should never go down like that. So look, y'all, this is my little channel, man. I just started this little channel. Trying to, if y'all haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel. Uh, I appreciate all the comments. I try to run a little channel like Monday through Friday. I'm just doing a little special on Sunday because that mess I saw last night, and I just can't do it. Now, in his first year when Oregon beat the snot out of Colorado, um, that was a combination of things. See, here's the thing. If you look at all their losses that Prime has had, and this even going back to when Shador was there, all the losses, not just this year, but even then, their losses came from them being outcoached. It wasn't because they was outplayed; it's because they were outcoached. It was a lot of it was game and time management, not adjusting to what the defense or the offense was doing, not counterpunching successively. All of it is I put on the coaching, and I can go and I can count and I can go down each game and tell you where they failed them in coaching. And the first year, he kind of had threw a coaching staff together because he had to do it so quick. So we give him a pass that. Plus, they weren't that very talented, and that whole he had to revamp that whole roster because their line they had man, if you believe they had 250-pound linemen on that roster. They had to get rid of them guys, man. Like it was bad when he came there. He was inherited, like he said, a bunch of bull junk, and that's true. Them dudes, there's no way in the world you could play Power Five football at the time they were Power Five with 250-pound linemen. 240 and 250-pound linemen. Slow, not athletic. I mean, it was bad. So so he did have to revamp the roster. And if you remember when he came, and the time that he came, he missed out on a lot of talent that was in the portal at the time because of the time constraints that he was dealing with. So I gave him a pass on that year. You know what I'm saying? But last year they should have been in that college playoff with that talent. So and the games that they lost, Kansas State they lost. Why they lose that game? Going cover zero. Travis is out of the game. He's hurt. They're up by 4 with a minute and some change left, and the only thing that can beat them is a touchdown. And they go cover zero with Preston Hodge, who's a nickel corner playing outside on Brown, which is the fastest guy on Kansas State team, and they run a 9 and they lose the game. That's coaching. They got to go. Essentially, they got to go 80 yards to beat us, and the only thing that can beat you is a touchdown. And you got a minute and some change left, and you give up. You essentially it was 3 plays. The wheel route that always killed them. They never fixed that. Right. So it's the same shit. You just that's funny. Uh, and then the Kansas game where they absolutely needed that game to get in the college playoff. That team went. I've never seen a whole game where a team didn't have to punt. unless it was like Alabama playing against like Mercer or Portland State or something like that. Your SEC team playing a team that just Grambling or something like that. I've never seen a game where you're talking about two Power Four, two Power Five schools go a whole game without having to punt. That's a problem. That's a coaching error. That's not just the players there. That's a coaching error. You're not. Man. Well, that's the thing. Developing players. You do. Who do you? What players have we ever seen them develop? What players have we seen? Let's be honest. What players have we ever seen them develop? Because I've never seen them. I haven't seen them develop anybody. To be honest with you. Now you have a chance now. Because he hasn't been there long enough to really develop. Right? He hasn't had the players on his roster long enough to develop. Now, the ones that potentially could have, they left and went other places. So I'm starting to wonder why they left. Why did Hood leave? You know, which was their best corner, and they had DJ McKinney playing with Travis. That should have been Hood on the other side of Travis, not DJ McKinney. Can we agree with that? Why did Hill Green leave, which was their best linebacker, and go to Alabama? Why did Taj McCoy leave, which was their best end, and he's been there since a freshman, leave and go to Oklahoma State? I mean, that's a problem. I mean, what are they saying? I don't know. I wouldn't have practiced. But clearly, it was something. And you can't say it was for the bad because I don't believe that. And especially with Hood. I don't believe Hood left for no bad. So I think they have a problem with the evaluation. The evaluation process is bad, or on the field. What about the kid Pons that's at Indiana? They had a chance to get him in the corner, and they didn't even offer him because they said he didn't meet their statute, like he wasn't tall enough or something. I don't know. The kid's a straight baller. He's got insurance. Hey man, you gotta pay the bills. I guess I don't know. Uh, well, visiting houses and stuff like that. Uh, I think he wouldn't visit Travis when he went and got Travis. I'm sure he wouldn't visit Travis. I think it just all just depend on the player that he's trying to, who he will visit, who he won't visit. He's not gonna do it for everybody. He can't. He's a you know celebrity. You know what I'm saying? And you know, but he's essentially the CEO of a company, and the company is the Colorado Buffaloes, and he's the CEO. So what he's supposed to do as a CEO is hire people, competent people to do the job that he wants them to do. And like I told you, let's go back to the word consistency. He always talks about the players being consistent, but Shermer is consistently being bad for his program, and he's got to get rid of that problem. He might be a great guy. I don't know. I never met the man. And he might be great friends or whatever. But, we always distinguish that friends and business really don't go well together sometimes. Not especially when you're, you know, inefficient at your position. And he's not good. Man, he's got to get rid of Shermer, though. He shouldn't have, Shermer should never been allowed. I don't know. I don't know what it is that he saw in him. I don't know. Or maybe it's that. and we don't know. Maybe that Sherman would run the plays that he was running at Truth, the Truth Youth League, and no other coordinator would do it. I don't know. I'm being funny. I'm being facetious, but no, I just think he's just not creative enough in this game. He's a dinosaur when it comes to college football. You know, uh, one thing you can't do is have a guy come in and call plays that never called plays before in college football and expect to have success against competent and good or great coaches that they're playing against. Can't do it. It's not going to work. That's why he's losing games. Even when, if you notice, he'll win the games that of the teams that when his talent exceeds the opposition, but he'll always lose the game if they have equal talent and the coach on the other side have better coaches. Uh, and he almost lost that Iowa State game the week before, but he got out of that because they coach did something stupid. I don't know how you go for it on fourth down on your own 18-yard line. That's just dumb. But anyways, so that was a coaching error, right? And essentially, that cost their team from winning. But I know why they went for it. I mean, to think of the lack of respect that you have to have for your opposition to go for it on fourth down on your own 18-yard line, or to run a fake punt on your own 30, like what happened yesterday. If you remember back in Oregon, Oregon did the same thing on their own 22-yard line. They ran a fake punt for a first down against Colorado when they routed them up. That take Man, what does that do to a team? It's demoralizing, right? You think you're getting off the field and you got to come right back on your defense. You think your defense think they've done enough to get off the field, and then you give up a fake punt on. Imagine if they would have stopped them right then and there. They would have been, if nothing else, they could have kicked a field goal, put some points on the board. What does that create? Momentum, right? So think of the momentum swing that happened right then and there when your defense thought that they stopped them and you were going to get the ball back and they ran a fake punt. And then 2 plays later, they score. That's coaching. That's coaching. Somebody definitely should be fired after this year. They should play Juju the last 3 games to get snaps and hope it's immature, naive enough not to jump in the portal. Well, Juju ain't going nowhere. Juju don't have to worry about Juju. Juju's not going nowhere. He gonna be there. Juju's getting about $1.5 million. He ain't going nowhere. Trust me. But do you really want to put Juju in a bad situation? Or I don't know how many more games he got. I know he played in 1 game. Do you really want to burn his red shirt just to give him experience to play in this what they call bull jump, as Prime say? I don't. Hey, I'm telling you, listen to what I'm telling you. You watch from here on out, and we're gonna talk about it because I'm gonna be on here. You're gonna see all the teams they play from here on out send blitz packages, cross blitzes. Oh my, they're coming. They're coming because they do not know how to protect it. They don't know how to counterpunch it. They don't. And why don't you know how to do it? So supposedly you guys are NFL guys. What, they don't run blitzes in the NFL? What happens when they blitz you crazy in the NFL? You're supposed to make them pay. It's like your receivers, and then, and that's the other thing. As an offensive coordinator, you're supposed to go over all this type of stuff. Look here, identify the hot route. If this guy blitz, I play receiver and I play running back. You're supposed to identify where the blitz is coming from and adjust your route accordingly when you're a receiver. You don't just go, if I got a corner route, a 7, and and that's my play, and I see that the guy's over me, he's blitzing. I don't just go out there and run a corner route. Hey, the ball ain't gonna never get to me because he's gonna get to the quarterback before I get to my break. I have to adjust my route. I never see these receivers adjusting their routes to when they're being blitzed. It's sometimes it's just as simple as just to turn around and look for the damn ball. That's it. That's all you have to do. We used to call it, say, replace where the man leaves. If that man leaves his spot, replace and look for the ball immediately. Make yourself available for the quarterback to throw the ball to you right now. They never do it. These fools still running 15 yards down the field thinking that they got time. This fool ain't got no time to be waiting for you to get open 15 yards down the field. They're coming. They're coming. And there's nobody to block him. They're sending 6 people, and there's only 5 people to block 6 people, or 6 people to block 7 people. They are coming. You have to adjust. You become the hot. And that's communication. That's communication between the quarterback and the receiver, the OC and the wide receiver coach should be all in the running back. All these guys should be knowing what to do. If I'm sitting here, you should always have a safety outlet. If you got 6 guys in here, why do you have 6 guys blocking 5 people? One of that's an asset. You're wasting a player. He now could become your safety outlet if nothing's open downfield on a check swing or delayed cross or anything, right? Or just simply running up the seam, looking for the ball right now. Dude, it's so many ways to combat what the defense is doing, and they never do it. That's why I don't understand. I don't understand what the hell he teaching. He could play 4 games and keep the red shirt, but you're right. Yeah, I think. Be honest with you, personally, if Juju played in this system, I think it might do more harm than good. You might tarnish his confidence. Hold on one sec. All right, sorry about that. Somebody was knocking at my door. But look, yeah, I don't know. Put Juju in this setting, man, with this offense, because I'm gonna tell you right now, might mess around and get this fool hurt because they coming. If these guys don't know how to protect him, they can't protect Salter. They can't damn sure can't protect Juju, and Juju ain't as athletic as Salter. Juju's like more like a Shador. He's a pocket passer. It ain't gonna be nowhere to run. These Salter can run up out of there and throw the ball out of bounds. Where the hell Juju gonna run to? And this game is moving. And these guys are moving a whole lot faster than high school. And it takes some. You gotta. It takes something to learn to be to get familiar with the speed of the game. You just throw him out there, and these guys is blitzing the hell. They're gonna be blitzing the hell out of him. And especially if your offensive coordinator ain't gonna put things in to help him out, and he's not gonna do it. He hasn't done it in the 2 years he's been calling plays. That's why Shador was sacked so many times. Can you imagine this freshman, 17, 18, he just turned 18, in a situation that Shador was in all these years? He might, yeah, he might transfer after that. That's for sure. He really might transfer after thinking if I got to endure this type of shit for the next 2 or 3 years, he might transfer. You ain't. Then you should have some concern about him transferring. You put him in this system because this is a bad system, and they make no adjustment. I'm telling you, if you watch the film, they make no adjustments from week to week. From week to week, I'm like, he's always on the players about watching film. Okay, they watching it. should be watching it too. But what are you watching? I mean, I don't know. Are you just got it like maybe like my screen on? You just got it on the screen. You ain't trying to figure out how to combat none of the shit that they're stuff that they're doing. You ain't trying to figure out that if they send a double axe blitz from here, uh, or they cross blitz, or what do I do? I don't know what the hell they doing because I don't. They don't make no adjustments to their problems. That's my problem with them. I don't see this coaching staff making any adjustments to the problems that they occur during games. Because the same problem they had last year, they have this year with a different staff, but the same guys at the top, the same OC. And he's supposed to be a line coach. This guy coach was supposed to be an offensive line coach. Offensive line coaches make the best OCs supposedly because they know how to identify and how to put your team in the right protection, whether it's the slide right or slide left, or the back looks from inside to outside when blitzes occur, right? You know, so but this guy, his offense doesn't seem to know anything. They never adjust because the same problem they had last year with Shador, they are having this year with Salter when they're throwing the ball, and there's blitzes coming. It's the same problem. So what is that telling me? I mean, it's telling me that they don't know what the hell they're doing. I don't give a damn if they do come from the NFL. Uh, Everybody that coach in the NFL don't win Super Bowls. Let's just think about that. And just because everybody who got a gold jacket ain't won a Super Bowl. Let's just think about that. I'm just telling you. And just because you played the game well doesn't mean you can coach it well. That's just not that. And I would just urge him to get away from this having all these ex NFL stars, putting them on your coaching staff. It's fine to put them, as position, but you need a good college offensive coordinator. There's a guy out there, and I don't think he's working this year, but he was at UNLV last year. I think his name is Marion Brennan or Brennan Marion, one of the two. He developed this offense called the Go-Go offense, which is a hell of a. If I was Prime, I would go get him immediately, and I wouldn't interview him. I would give him the damn job because he's a hell of an offensive coordinator, very creative, and he coached at UNLV last year. And I don't know if he's coaching this year. I imagine he probably is somewhere, but that's who Prime should go get. If he's looking for a great offensive coordinator, that's who he should get. He's good. I'll just say, turns out being a Hall of Fame player counts for about. You're right. That's right. Exactly. It means nothing in the college game. You know, and these guys are really they learning on the job. Robert Livingston's learning on the job. Marshall Faulk's learning on the job. Warren Sapp is learning on the job. And hey, check this out. I don't know if you watched the pro game or not, but does this defense look like the Dallas Cowboys defense from last year? They how they couldn't stop the run. It currently, and you guess who was the coach of their defensive line last year? Pecco. Pecco was the Dallas Cowboys defensive line coach last year. And you tell me that this team ain't having the same problem that Dallas Cowboy team is having. Right. I agree with you on that one. Yep. Right. So I mean, come on. He always say, believe what you see. Right? That's what Prime always tell people. If you see it, believe it. They are Pat Shermer is who we see it. Why he don't believe it? That's the problem. He should ask himself, why you don't believe what you see? You see this guy can't coach. You see this guy don't make adjustments. Why do you constantly have this guy in a position of signal of calling signal calling for your team, for your company? He's consistently bad. He's consistently bad. He consistently doesn't make adjustments. Why do you continue consistently have this dude as your signal caller? He should take heed to his own words sometimes. I want him to be successful. I don't like for this brother not to be successful. I've been rooting for him when he was at Jackson State, but even still, then when he was at Jackson State, he didn't have competent offensive coordinator. That's why Shador had a different offensive coordinator every time he was there. But every year he's played collegiate football. Never getting the right guy. I don't know. I once had a coach that I played for. I'll call him. He has like this Napoleon type of complex, where everything has to be his way. Like he don't listen to nobody. Can't nobody tell him nothing, right? Because he know every goddamn thing, right? And no matter how much talent we had on the team, we could never. We would always have problems when we faced coaches who just had a better coaching staff if the talent was equal. Now, teams that we were more talented, we would beat them because we were more talented. But every time we played against a team that was just as talented, we would get out coached. And that's the problem that he's having. And he's gonna have to bend because he's gonna experience more days like this coming up. And he ain't never gonna win no championship if he don't start uh, adjusting. He trying to figure. He's talking about when they asked him, they said, "Why do you think you haven't?" And he said, "The worst thing he could tell me is I don't know." Or maybe he's just telling us he don't know, or he do know, but he don't want to throw nobody on the bus. He. But hell, man, you call everybody else out on their stuff. You know, it is what it is. You know, either do right. If you're not going, you either get better or you get out. Simple as that. That's the way this works. And and he was embarrassed yesterday, and you could see it. He did not want to be at that press conference. He was, oh man, I don't think I've ever seen it. He was like this. Well, when he told Oregon, "You better get me now," you still in that phase where you better get me now because you. But he did it to himself. You the one who hired this dude. You the one got him calling signals. You hired him, so ultimately it is your fault because you didn't evaluate the process well enough to not put yourself in these positions. So you're getting what you deserve. To be honest with you, but let's see if he learned from it. Every year he seems to say that he makes adjustment. He didn't make that adjustment. That's the adjustment he needed to make. His scouting crew went out and got the right talent. They got enough talent, I should say. I'm not gonna put it on these kids, man. There's enough talent on this team. The first year we could say the reason why they got whooped like that because they didn't, their talent was not up to par. But a team that's this talented getting beat 53-7 to that team who just got beat the week before by a team you should have beat the week prior to. Come on now. I know styles make fights, but goddamn, not no 53-7 type of that just doesn't happen. Do I think he lost the locker room? I won't know until next week. I won't know until next week. I thought if he lost that Iowa State game that he would have lost the locker room. I thought if he had lost to Iowa State, I thought that he was on the verge of losing the locker room. But the fact that they won and then they had a bye, right? You would have thought that, but then what happens on his bye? His two aces receivers, Omarion Miller and Joseph Williams, shows up to the meeting, didn't make it back in time for the meeting, and that's one of his rules. I mean, he's kicked people off his team for doing that. I remember the cat Tavares, forget his name, the wide receiver. He kicked him off the team for missing a meeting. He and never played again for Colorado. Good kid, nice receiver, real fast, whatever. He kicked him off the team for that, right? But these guys, he just benched for a half, you know, and that's the reason why you saw uh, Quentin Gibson starting and Farrakhan starting yesterday is because them two dudes came back from the break late and missed the meeting. So that would be interesting. Um, but like you say, next man up, and what he's gonna do. So I don't know if he lost the locker room yet. Um, but we won't know until next week when they play against Arizona and they're at home. And then I could give a fair assessment on if he lost the locker room or not. I do know that they quit yesterday though. That wasn't a time. That wasn't a team that continued fighting. They gave up. Listen to them. They gave up 40 points in 2 quarters. That team was on the verge of scoring 80 points in that game if they'd have kept their foot on their neck. You know, Utah could have very well scored 80 points yesterday. Coach Willingham, I think that's his name, he took his foot off the pedal. And you could saw him over there conversing on the sideline with the defensive coordinator to let him get one touchdown. He's trying to say, look, don't blitz him. This, when they put Staub in, he was like, ease up, ease up. And then after they scored a touchdown, he went back and he told him, said, okay, don't let him score no more. And what they do, they sacked him on the next time he came, and they sacked him twice in a row. So, he was like, okay, we let him score, but we ain't gonna give up no more charity. That's it. So they was just doing whatever they wanted to with that team, and they had no counterpunch at all. That's amazing. You talking about this guy Shermer has got like at least 30 years, I think, in the NFL, or 20 some years in the NFL coaching, and he's an offensive line coach, and you trying to tell me that you don't know how to? Oh my God, you have no adjustments to. They wasn't doing nothing spectacular. They were just crossing the alignment and running, coming off the edge, sending blitzes either with the mic or the wheel. That's all. They wasn't doing nothing spectacular, and they didn't have a clue on how to adjust to it. But if you look at the scouting report if you look at what BYU and Texas Tech did to Utah, how they beat them, they used their over aggressiveness against them. So, and after they made an adjustment on it, they got them. You ain't gonna keep sending all this heat. We got to make you pay, and they never made them pay. So if you don't never make me pay, like they say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And they never fixed it because it wasn't broke. Everybody always want to throw out that word trash, man. Players and coaches, though. I hate you. Multiple sacks for 18 safety. Whole first to overstay how. Yeah, I agree. But we'll see. Here's my thing. Do you really? Now let's ask an honest question here. Do you really expect them? Because he always says, "Believe what you see," and I say the same thing. I believe us. That's why I made a lot of money off of Utah beating them yesterday. I knew that game was going to be like that. I thought it was going to beat them by. I didn't think it was going to be that bad. I thought they would beat them by 17 points. I had them beat them by 7. I didn't know they were going to beat them like that. I didn't know they was going to put up no 50 points on them. I figured the score would be like 42-20, 42-17, something like that. or 35-17 50 burger. No. But anyways, I digress. He always say believe what you see, right? And what have I been saying all of this? They have not corrected the problem for 2 years. They've never corrected. They had this same. They've been having this same problem, both offensively and defensively, for the last 2 years. They had it in Kansas last year, where they had to have a win in order to get to the college playoff, and they couldn't even make Kansas punt the ball one time. One time, Kansas scored on every possession. Every possession. With a team that was talented as they were, and they had Travis and all them, the Kyle Green, they had all that talent. And offensively, they should have been scoring because Kansas defense was trash. Because guess what? The next week when Baylor played them, Baylor beat the hell out of Kansas. And we beat Baylor. Well, not we, but Colorado beat Baylor, right? So what does that tell you? It's coaching. It's putting your players in the right situation. And so I don't presume to think that they're going to fix the problem. I don't. They haven't fixed it in 2 years. And the only way you can fix this problem is to get rid of the coaches. So I agree. Yeah, somebody gonna be fired. I think Pat Shermer should be getting fired. I I said it's funny. I was talking to my boys and I was telling them, and if you go back and look at some of the stuff, because we talk about this a lot, I told Pat Shermer will not have his job after they play Utah. I knew Utah was gonna run like hell all over this team. But did I think they was gonna run for 422 yards? I said 350. They ran for 420. They had over 500 yards of total offense. At halftime, have you ever seen this in Colorado was a negative 18 yards at halftime. Negative 18. Oh my God, bro. I don't think about who we talking. We talking about Deion Sanders, prime. And you know how how he think of himself, right? Can you imagine him being a negative 18 coaching a Power Four school of a team this talented and they having a negative 18 yards at halftime? Hey man, I know. Hey, I've been like I would have told you earlier. Look, man, why don't y'all make this just a running clock? No matter if the ball hit the ground, incompletion, run out of bounds, whatever. Just keep that clock running. I can't wait to get the hell out of here. Oh my God, I know he ain't getting no sleep last night though. He ain't getting no sleep last night. That's real talk. But no, he ain't. They're not going to correct the problem until they get rid of the coach. The coach is the problem. The consistent problem is the coach. I tell people math works in every situation in life. You can apply math to everything successful and unsuccessful in life. And what is the common denominator? It ain't the players, it's the coaching. That's the common denominator. Because they got different players and they having the same problem. So what does that tell me? It's the coaching. The only way to fix this is to get rid of the coach. And I ain't talking about it because Deion don't call the plays. I'm talking about his signal callers. Robert Livingston is learning on the job, so you got to give him some grace, man. He didn't do a bad job with his first time being a defensive coordinator last year. He did an admirable job, and that's the reason why he got the contract. He got the what they pay him $1 million a year for the next 3 years, so he's getting a little bit over $1 million a year. And but even still, they need a new linebacker coach. Coach Hart, I like Coach Hart, but I've been saying that for since Jackson State. Coach Hart is not a good. He doesn't. His linebackers are fundamentally not sound, especially on pass pro. Uh, they don't identify hook to curl. Their eyes are always in the wrong spot. I've even seen his linebackers drop back in coverage without even looking at the quarterback, and that's a no. You cannot do that. No wonder why your quarterback pull the ball down and run for 20 and 30 yards. you ain't even looking at him. No wonder y'all got a problem stopping quarterback run. I mean, uh, and I can't say that it's the kid. He's coaching that because every linebacker he put in that, every linebacker that go out there do the same thing. That's the problem. I tell you right now, you either allowing it or you're teaching it. Either way, it's wrong. It's not the way to do it. I'm telling you, and I'm a coach. Like I said, I played and coached this game for over 30 years. I know what I'm talking about. And I'm very good at it. Yeah. So Coach Hart, he need to replace his linebacker coach. Maybe Coach Hart can help the other coach out on special teams or something, or just be an assistant. He need a new linebacker coach. Even evaluating linebackers, I think. How you running? You say you running their line? Let's see. Somebody, AD, Colorado Media, have to hold. Well, I can't say they running into the ground because if you remember before he came, they weren't making no money. The stands were empty. They weren't relevant at all. They weren't getting no TV. Had no TV. No. They weren't on network TV. None of their games were on network TV. Uh, and uh, he's uplifted like the whole Colorado Boulder. Period. Like during the games and the people. I mean, all the businesses are thriving because of what he's brought to the table. So I wouldn't say he's running the ground, but he's definitely, if he wants to, like you say, win Big 12 championships and get to the college playoff, you gotta hire the right people, and you need some college coaches. College coaches, not this NFL crap. It's two different games. People think because it's football that it's the same game, and it's not. And I'll explain to you why. You know why the college game is different from the pro game? It's because the hash marks. There's no field and boundary side in NFL. It's played mostly in the middle of the field. So it's a game of geometry, right? I'll explain this to you. When you're playing with the hash mark just outside the numbers, you have a field and a boundary side. That's the reason why there's more room to run to one side or another when the ball is on the hash, right? In the NFL, the hash marks are just outside the goalpost, which makes it more of a middle of the field game. That's the reason why 5'8" and 5'9" quarterbacks aren't really that successful in the pros. It's geometry, it's angles, 30s, 45, 60-degree angles opposed to 90. If you look at it from that perspective, you'll understand that it's the geometry of the game that makes it a different game. So that's the reason for that. If you didn't know, I'm just helping y'all out. So you just because you successful in college, that's the reason why. And generally, it works both ways. Generally, most college coaches don't have success in the pro game, not right off the bat. Exactly. So that's why I said he needs to hire good college coaches to understand the game, understand how to call plays in games. It's an art to calling plays. It really is. Not everybody can do it. You got a lot of people who want to do it and they try to do it, but not everybody's good at doing it. And those of us that's good at it can recognize the ones that are good at doing it. I'm just telling you the truth. And we also can identify the ones that are not good at it. And I'm telling you right now, Pat Shurmur is not a good signal caller. Has never been, and he never will be. Because if he ain't learned by now, he ain't never gonna learn. They say old dog, old ways, and and he's doing nothing. And sometimes you just, you know, he think because and I don't know. I've never met the guy. I don't know how he think. I don't know how he talk. But a lot of times they think because they've been at this point in their lives and their careers that this point here, it's a piece of cake. But he never coached at this peak to get to this peak. He went directly to this peak and skipped all this, and now he's trying to learn it, and you can't be successful that way. You know, that's like the coach, the coach Stefanski over there at the Cleveland Browns. Um, I've done so much research on that guy and tried to figure out uh, what the hell he's doing, and the reason why he having problems. And I'll just a little briefly, and reason why he don't have success. For one, this guy comes from Penn. That's that Ivy League school where they like Colgate and Harvard and all this other stuff. And he started off as a uh, uh, pro recruiter coordinator or recruiter, some type of pro recruiter or something. I think he started with the Panthers or whatever. But somehow somebody, and we always say it's always now what right? He knew somebody that elevated him and where he became director of personnel or something like that, or coordinator of personnel before he got this job right here. He's not good at all. And I'm gonna tell you why I say he's not good. I don't care. He was the coach of the year twice. He's the most games he's ever won in a season was 11, and he had a lot of talent on his team, but he's not good at all as far as calling plays. And I say this to say that look at this. He's coaching a professional team, and he's a professional. He got all professionals on his team. This guy only won 3 games last year. Out of 17 games, he won 3 games. And you trying to tell me with professional athletes on your roster that you can only manage to win 3 games in a 17-game season? That's a problem. He's been there, and at that time, he was there for 5 years. So he had enough time to bring in his own players. They usually say you need 3 years to get your own the type of players that you want in there from what came on from the previous regime, right? That you get your players in there to do and to follow your lead the way that you want it to be, go in your direction that you want to go in, and that y'all should be all settled in by strictly by the third or fourth year. But he's 6 years in the game and has only managed to win 5 games in the last 2 years. I'm just telling you. So just because you have the job, don't mean you're good at it. That's why everybody don't win championships. That's why everybody don't win Super Bowls. I'm just helping you out with that one. So he's not a good coach, and he should be fired after this. I'd say would they get the bye week next week? I'd fire him by next week for the bye because they're gonna lose today. But anyways, let's go back to Colorado. Colorado, man. So look, it's gonna be interesting. We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out because you remember Dion first year he fired his offensive coordinator and let Pat take the helm in the middle of the season when what happened with what Sean Lewis was doing when he hired Sean Lewis. You know, so let's see if he gonna do the same thing. I mean, let's see if he gonna be consistent and fire Pat Shermer. This is around the same time he fired Sean Lewis and gave the job to Shermer in his first season. Let's see if he do that this week. That's gonna be interesting. Now that's gonna be a fun fact for y'all to figure this out. Let's see if he consistent. Y'all always talking about consistency. Let's see if he consistent. Right? That's gonna be interesting. We're gonna find out how consistent his consistency is with everything he does. Because he's always talking about this consistency. Oh, that's gonna be interesting. I think he's gonna fire him because he was embarrassed embarrassed, right? About what transpired yesterday. And if you know, Prime he ain't going for that. He ain't going for that. But anyways, let's see. What time is it, man? We got to get ready for some NFL stuff. I want to watch a little talk, and I'll be back on tomorrow at 2:30 Pacific time. Well, 1:30 Pacific time. I'm sorry. It'll be 2:30 Central. Uh, and hopefully you come and join us, uh, beloved. Hope you come and join us tomorrow, and I might come on later on this evening to see and talk about the Cleveland Browns. Oh no, but anyways, we'll see. But anyways, come make sure you subscribe to the channel. My pleasure talking with you. I enjoy it. I hope I enlighten you on some things, and tell some people about me. You know what I mean? Usually I'm on here with my other two partners. One of my buddies, he played as well. He played for University of Washington when they won the national championship back in '91, I believe it was, or '92. And then I got a couple guys that played in the NFL, played for Frisco, and then that won the Super Bowl with Steve Young and Jerry Rice and them. They come on too. So I know quite a few people. Matter of fact, Deion Figures is one of my partners. I play my childhood friend that played at Colorado that won the Jim Thorpe Award, and they just retired his number, or they put him in the Ring of Honor in Colorado last year. They had a ceremony for him. Deion Figures is one of my partners. Anyways, but that's all for right now, and I'll be back on. I appreciate y'all joining, chatting with me. But as it goes, this is Kai and K Shows where I speak upon it, and I'll be talking to y'all later. I'm out.
In order to have anything in this world, you must speak up on it. Oh, that your body in Versace, she don't want it. She like it.